morning and welcome to our devotion for today, Wednesday. We are smack in the middle of the week and we are still here giving thanks to Almighty God for all His wondrous gifts and blessings to us. As we heard there in the introductory tune, the invitation to be still and know that I am God. A wonderful message that came from the psalmist, inviting us into a place of stillness, recognizing the subtle nature of the engagement with God, something that we oftentimes ignore. Remembering the experience with Elijah, when all the thunder, etc., had passed and calm, that Elijah recognized the presence of God. Our world is busy, it's noisy, and it doesn't allow us to oftentimes experience the calm. But we need to experience the calm in order to truly experience God's presence, in order to hear. We are reminded that God does not compete. God does not compete with the noise of the day. God continues to speak in the same tone and with the same purpose. And it is for us to turn off the noise of our world and to listen and to hear. But that we would be more diligent in turning off the noise of our world. And why is this important? It's important because the noise keeps us outside. The noise keeps us engaged with those things that are temporal, those things that are not long-lasting. They're here today and they're gone tomorrow. And they keep us engaged. And when they're all done and we look at ourselves and we realize the time that we've lost, that we can't recover, and we ask ourselves, what did I do with my life? One who goes within never ever asks that question. Because there's a connectedness with life itself, not with noise and activity, but with life. And when you have that connection with life, there can be no wastage. Every moment is vital. And at times when we get to do it the right way, or the best way, or the more intentional way, then the activities of life are like interruptions. Just like the stars in the sky are interruptions of the vastness and the emptiness of space. They interrupt that emptiness. When we get into that practice of being in the stillness, then the moments that we have to speak are interruptions. And you can understand that it is an interruption because if you check it, you can keep quiet for far longer than you can speak. Speaking requires energy. It requires you to send your breath forth through your vocal cords to make a noise. But stillness, that breath that you would use for speaking, is instead used for healing and renewing. It takes no energy to be still. And that is eternal. I bow the knee in stillness and in peace. I bow the knee and I open my heart. I bow the knee and I give thanks. Thanks for this gift that I am yet to fully discover. This gift that I am yet to fully utilize. This gift that is a tremendous blessing. I bow the knee in humility and in prayer. The prayer of my heart is my breath. Acknowledging life. Today Mark's Gospel carries us into the parable of the sower, parable of the soils. And he said, "Do you not understand this parable? And how will you understand all the parables? The sower sows the word. These are the ones on the path where the word is sown. And they hear, Satan immediately comes and takes away the word that is sown in them. And these are the ones sown on rocky ground. When they hear the word, they immediately receive it with joy. But they have no root and endure only for a while. Then when trouble or persecution arises on account of the word, immediately they fall away. And others are those sown among the thorns. These are the ones who hear the word, but the cares of the world and the lure of wealth and the desire for other things come in and choke the word, and it yields nothing. And these are the ones sown on the good soil. They hear the word and accept it and bear fruit 30 and 60 and 100 fold. The word of the Lord. Jesus offers us in this message today words with respect to the various soils. And he speaks of the good soil, the soil that allows for maximum growth, maximum fruit. He speaks of the other soils that are impacted in one way or another by the externals of life and are unable to bring forth much because either by the sun, by the thorns, by the birds, some external faculty engages them and consumes them in one way or another, and they're unable to bear any fruit. With the good soil, we notice that the good soil is just the soil itself. It has depth, and no doubt it has good nutrients. It is not overrun by thorns. In other words, it doesn't have a lot of external investment. But you get the sense that the good soil is not only referring to the soil itself, but the environment that surrounds it. The depth that allows the roots to go deep and to be secure and to bear. It is this that we are called to exhibit in our journey of life. To be able to pay attention to all the external factors that are impacting on us and keeping us with shallow roots. All the external factors that impact on us that prevent us from allowing the seed to germinate in our hearts. Far less take root and grow. There is so much in our world now that keeps us on the outside. And the thing is that we even feel that if we are not focused on the outside, that something is wrong with us. We saw it during the early days of the pandemic, when persons were beside themselves with respect to what do you do with all this downtime. And we see how the social media took off. Everyone sharing practical jokes. And yes, we needed to keep ourselves sane. But one also wonders how much of a distraction that was. When we looked outside and we hear stories, like for example in Venice, where all the canals were having fish returned to them and places were blooming. Albeit we have to acknowledge that in some places the wildlife took over and began encroaching, or I should say reclaiming, areas that they once would have thrived in. But nature seemed to have been waiting for such a moment and couldn't wait to sort of spread itself back into those places that humanity had pushed nature away as we sought to be external. One wonders what life would be like if man, instead of being so external and so domineering, sought to be more internal and in some way being a lot more in cooperation with all that exists. What would it be like if there was a greater symbiosis in our world and man didn't seem to have the desire to dominate? One wonders if the invitation to be still and know that I am God, if that might not create a new way of being for humanity, one in which we're able to live in harmony with all that is, and where man can come to his fullest potential, where women can maximize that sense of womanhood. Is it that we are delaying our own spiritual and human growth by the fact that we are not paying attention to our inner world? We have no blueprint. We have no blueprint on the outside, and so we create what we think is a blueprint, and it keeps changing from moment to moment. But when we go within and we recognize that we have been created in the Imago Dei, the image of God, then we realize that there actually is a blueprint for humanity. There is a wonderful blueprint for humanity, how we are to show up as a manifestation of God. But alas, it is not a very noisy thing. And it doesn't make any great disturbance so that it has to be noted. No. It is very quiet. The psalmist says, "My soul in silence waits for you, O Lord." My soul in silence waits. That is the message that continues to grow amongst us. The good soil is soil waiting to receive. It's not hard that it rejects the seed and the birds come and harvest it. It's not shallow that if anything germinates, it doesn't have enough root. It's not cluttered that whatever may grow in it is choked by those things that are already there. Instead, it is warm, it is moist, it is deep, it is cleared, it is still, and it waits. May we seek in our journey to be such soil. And may we know that such soil is cultivated and brought into being through stillness, through inner stillness.